Good afternoon, Maverick traders. It's currency recap time. Joe with you here. It's the 13th of November. Let's get into it. Make sure you take responsibility. Let's take a look at the meaningful news of the day and how that impacted the broad markets in general. Let's look at some stuff technically, look at some basket trades and see if we can't compare some currencies together. And if we've got some currencies to trade, we'll share them with you.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Let's get into the market analysis. Today was very interesting. We had the government, the U.S. government reopened, but we saw a general sell-off across the equity markets. And I mean generalized. It's across everything. I saw gold go down. We saw a spike up in VIX. Take a look at this. This is a one-day performance compared to weekly performance. I've been talking with the equity side of a rotation that I'm seeing coming out of some of those technology stocks and consumer sector, the AI stuff, going into some of the healthcare and basic materials. You can see that in the week performance. But if you take a look at today, it was just across the board as everything just kind of got pushed lower. We did see some strength in the franc, the euro, and the pound. The yen and the dollar didn't do anything, and the CAD, the Aussie, and the Kiwi slipped a little bit lower. In fact, let's just jump straight into it. So here it was. A good push up in the franc, 0.59%, euro, 0.33. You guys can see it here. The pound had a pretty good surge as well, but as far as the chart goes, as far as the currency, it's just not as strong as the other two. But then a general sell-off there on the CAD, Aussie, and the Kiwi. So this would be something like kind of a risk off, but the yen and the dollar just didn't do much. Let's move over to how we finished on the S&P. Now, folks, the Dow was down 797 points, 1.65%. Here you are, the S&P is down 1.66, and the Nasdaq was down 536 points, 2.29%. Just to let you know that it was a pretty good surge to the downside across everything. World index is shy of that. Crypto took another move to the downside. Gold actually slid, and oil just kind of flat. Here's our cryptos, another move to the downside. Cryptos have been weak for quite some time, and I don't see a change coming anytime soon. So this is where we're standing. The 20-day moving average, we did slide below that. Now, folks, I slid down to a +1. It's still technically in an up move. However, I'm a little reluctant when it comes to where we set a lower high, and this is what I'm talking about. So we know that these markets are very, very volatile. We know that we had a big reaction to some news and a very choppy move back up to get to where we're at. Reluctancy, gapping. We the government shut down. We don't have a lot of economic numbers to go off of. But today's move I thought was kind of interesting. A big amount of volume with a larger candle. It is actually confirming a lower high. I don't know how far this is going to go, but I'm going to be a little bit glass half empty. We'll see what it does when it comes to finding support levels. Let me see if I can make this a little fatter for you when it comes to our support levels. So this is a major one. We've got another one here. We discussed this beautiful hammer candle of this raising 50-day with the confirmation. But it came so hard so fast. We'll see where we're going to end up. So I'm going to be a little bit more cautious here. I'm not going to be bearish, but I'm going to be cautious when it comes to some of the choices that I make moving forward. Now, the U.S. government did open recently, but I don't know if we're going to get some of the announcements that are expected today, I should say tomorrow and the next day. However, we do have some coming out of other countries. We're seeing some reactions as such. So let's get into our currency analysis, or at least the volatility scores for today. First off, let's start with the yen. You can see it was completely flat. It really didn't do much, neither did the dollar. But we're back to this area to where I don't know if we're just going to kind of meander sideways. A little bit of a move to the upside here on the RSI, but it is weak. It's been one of my favorite currencies to pair anything stronger with, but it seems like it's going to be stabilizing or just going flat for now. The dollar has been slowly drifting lower. What I do not like about the dollar, and I think this is going to continue, folks, as the government reopens and we start to see some reaction when it comes to sentiment, we're going to get a lot of this. And I just don't like trading things like that. So I'm going to set the dollar aside. I kept it pretty much flat. It's kind of a -1 here because of the movement that it's got as far as its momentum, or I should say velocity. Understand this could be a flag pattern because if it can stabilize at a level and break out, it can go right back to the bull side. So I'm just going to set it aside for now. Let's move over to the franc. Big push to the upside. It kind of set this area of, hey, I don't know where it's going to go. I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but it just broke out. And when it broke out in a nice way, setting higher lows and higher highs, good surge, high base, pullback, not even a retest to a previous base, and has just surged higher. I definitely believe this is absolutely a reaction to what I'm seeing in the U.S. equities. I can't really validate that. I think this might kind of hesitate here a little bit. I just love the RSI. Be aware that this could pull back or consolidate, but it is definitely a very, very strong currency. I'm going to keep it at a +3 for now. Let's go to the euro. The euro to me is also a +3. It's done it a little differently, but it still has all those signs. Nice move on the RSI here. A little bit of a push as it does break above its resistance here. It does feel a little bit extended. Let's see what it does overnight over the European session. Don't be surprised if you get some consolidation or a pullback, but they're both, the franc and the euro, are definitely both on my bullish watch. The pound also had a decent move today percentage-wise. You can see that it doesn't have the strength when it comes to the overall pattern that the franc and the euro do, but it has a deeper pullback. It has a RSI that's actually trying to get, stay above that 50. I'm going to be a little bit more restrictive with this. I definitely lean toward the franc and the euro. But if this thing can get above this area, then I think the pound could be something a little bit stronger as well. However, right now, it just seems like it might be in a little bit of a bounce. I gave it a +1 just because it came off of this low. And it is above this high for now. Moving over to the CAD. The CAD slid a little bit. I saw that with the Aussie as well, but it's not like it's falling apart. It's just a little bit below a support level I'd like to see it at. We did see a little bit of a move lower in the past, so it might be approaching that area. For now, folks, I'm just going to set it aside. I've got the CAD at a -1 just because it did break this support level, and I don't like where the RSI is, but I'm just going to kind of take it off my watch list for now. Let's move over to the Aussie and the Kiwi. The Aussie, folks, is just in a pretty aggressive pullback. There's an area right here I think is going to be pretty important. This is a pretty good drop on the RSI. I do believe that was news-driven. Let's see if it can stabilize itself around this area. I don't want to see it revisit here, but I do want to see it stabilize before it's something I can use. Let's jump over to the Kiwi. The Kiwi is showing a little bit more of a consolidation. It's trying to climb higher. These are very difficult for me to be bearish on and use them as bearish currencies because they just kind of meander along. We've got a little bit of a move to the downside. I went ahead and just left it where it was, kind of at a -1, just because I don't see anything that it's going to do past this area. More of consolidation. I'm going to set that one aside. Let's move over to our crypto. So here's Bitcoin, and it just fell. A lot of these kind of reacted to what the equity markets did in the US. I'm just going to go through them briefly real quick. Bitcoin, it's breaking support level. It's falling lower. Bitcoin Cash is showing a little bit more strength because it actually extended itself higher, but it is still showing a level that it's broke recently. We'll see if it can get back down to this area, but I do not like where this RSI is. So I imagine Bitcoin Cash is the stronger of the currencies that we follow. It's just not breaking down yet. Let's move over to Ethereum. This was the largest percent mover. Let me squeeze this down a little bit. You guys can see that these are actually really moving below some serious levels that they haven't seen for a few days. And I'm not sure if that's not going to continue. I'm seeing a lot of rotation out of some of the AI, some of the darling stocks we've seen. This is probably no different. The move I've seen on the downsides of crypto has actually started since about mid or the end of August. And seeing how this reacted to today's action in the U.S. equities, I think it's definitely more of a risk on trade. Let's go to Litecoin. Litecoin has a kind of a descending movement going on. You can see this, breaking support levels. If we continue to see increasing candles or movements, I don't see how this is going to be any different from the other cryptos. We do have a support level here. Litecoin showing that it is coming off of a previous high and stair-stepping down. I did give it a -2 versus the others, but I just see weakness in the cryptos in general. So this is where I sit overall. Lots of stuff moving to the sides. Today was a pretty big day when it comes to the reactions of currencies, but seeing some strength there in the euro and the franc and even the pound. I know the pound's just a +1 there, but the U.S. and the yen really not participating. Everything else is just kind of sliding left and right. I don't think this changes for a while, so I really don't have much to go on when it comes to possible trades. The volatility to me personally is just a little too high. However, if I can see sustainable movement in the euro and the franc and even the pound, I'd be more than likely to use them against some of the weaker currencies. The US dollar and the yen seems to react to what the US equities are doing, so I'm going to stay away from them. But staying consistently weaker in the cryptocurrencies might be your shorter term advantage. So in conclusion, folks, the sell-off today as the government reopens was generalized. I saw a lot of rotation coming out of the AI stocks into some of emerging when it comes to some of the rumors going on with healthcare. Earnings season is still in play. In fact, folks, NVIDIA has its announcement, I think, next week. That's going to have an impact. Be aware of that. Play relative strength. Follow your plan. There are some great moves going on right now when it comes to some of these currencies. The euro and the franc are fantastic. However, very difficult to kind of get ahead of because this can flip-flop very quickly. Make sure you get the trade you want before you make it. Follow your plan. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining me. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.